All right, so today we're on a little bit of an adventure here in beautiful Las Vegas, and joining me is Jason Elliott, the DP for the #1 unscripted show on Amazon Prime ever.
So I've heard, yeah.
You started off as a filmmaker, kind of more in the traditional sense, and then started doing the YouTube thing, which happens to be one of the biggest channels in existence.
Yeah, I did that for a couple of years, and then got to blend the two things together on Beast Games, which was a really cool experience.
I just keep hearing all this crazy stuff about the show, like all the world records, over 1,000 cameras recording at the same time. I think a lot of us have seen that room full of Alexas, and I hear that's your doing.
It was. I can, for better or worse, take complete responsibility for that. So.
And I think we got a little bit of snow coming in too, so we may be in for a little bit more of an adventure than a light stroll as we had originally planned. Your most recent project is Beast Games, huh?
Yeah, the most insane thing I've ever done, but at the same time, it was incredible. Everything from the technical side of it to the crew.
Do you feel prepared to shoot a project like that?
I actually worked on the show for a little over a year, but if you rewind the clock a little bit, ever since we did our Squid Game remake on the main channel, it kind of ignited a creative spark in everyone and goes, you know what? We could do this as a network style show. If you really go back and watch all the videos, a lot of it is just practice for something like the Amazon show.
Oh.
So, massages later?
Well, I'm glad you're here because you're used to all this craziness on set.
Challenges are the name of it, man. Figuring out how to get through it.
Watching some of the videos, I see these guys going through these challenges, and I'm always thinking, well, the camera guys doing these challenges too?
I'm glad somebody thinks that and notices, because yes, absolutely.
What was like the hardest survival video you had to do?
I think Antarctica takes the cake, hands down. We had to not only film the video, but we also had to do our own survival on top of that. Set up our own shelter, cook our own food, build our own windbreak ice wall, all while, you know, fighting off extreme cold and wind and then trying to film it in such a way that it doesn't look like a hot mess.
Pretty cold out there, huh?
Yeah, I've never learned how to convert Fahrenheit to Celsius, but there I didn't need to because of negative 40 degrees Fahrenheit is also negative 40 degrees Celsius. There are no ways to charge batteries, so you have to bring everything you possibly could need. It's not like they have a camera store down the street to go get a backup.
It's so expensive to get people over, right?
Oh, it's $50,000 to $100,000 a person to go. And we could only take so many people because it was so prohibitively expensive. And that went for our equipment as well.
So you throw everything in a freezer?
It's exactly what we did.
All this footage is just gonna be covered in rain and snow, so I apologize to everybody watching. The show itself, it started off with 2,000 contestants, right?
Yeah, so we started with like a pre-qualifier that aired on the main YouTube channel, and that had the 2,000. And then once we got into the actual show that premiered on Amazon, we kicked it off with 1,000.
That must have been insane.
Weirdly enough, I think episode 0 was a bit easier because it was more of a chunk format, if that makes sense, as it aired on the main YouTube channel. But once we got down to 1,000 contestants and it was going to be episode 1 of the Amazon show, that's when it really got hard. Because we wouldn't know what the story is going to be with any individual players or group or whatever until the show's done. Traditionally, you would pick a group of people out and follow them through. The risk you run at the end of that is the stories aren't good, or they get eliminated early on and you have to pivot to other stories. We wanted the ability to tell the best story throughout the whole show, and by covering everybody from start to finish, Post really had a lot more optionality. And so that's how we ended up with, you know, over 1,000, it was like 1,100 and something cameras just on episode 1.
I mean, I get stressed out if I need to cover 10 people, you know, but 1,000, that's on a different level. So, I mean, you have a world record for that, right?
We have 3 world records for it. We have the most cinema bodies ever used on a reality competition series. Then we have the most action cameras ever used on a series. That was the 1,000 GoPros. And then we have the most cameras total ever used on a series. And the official number for that is 1,107. It was actually more than that. Just a couple of the cameras didn't get counted.
But all recording at the same time. Jeez. Woo. Oh my God, I'm glad that you are an experienced dirt biker, because this is a lot harder of a trail than I was kind of expecting it to be. So
this is not the bunny trail, that's for sure. And this e-bike's got a lot of torque in it too, so that's kind of wild.
Yeah, it's a Sur-Ron Ultra B. It's pretty awesome. It really feels like a dirt bike more than an e-bike, right?
Feels great. I think I'm probably gonna have to go buy one now.
So 1,000 GoPros. Was everybody mic'd up separately?
For episode 1, yeah, everyone had their own individual lav. Now, we did hardwire them.
Hardwired, because you're not going to wirelessly RF transmit 1,000 channels.
No chance that that was gonna work.
I would have assumed that you would have 1,000 tentacle syncs or something internal recording, but it was all hardwired into the set, huh?
So the reason for that is we had to be able to monitor it live actually as it happened. The other key part to the storytelling aspect was note-taking. So we had an army of story producers that were watching a ton of the live feed cameras we had, while also being able to dial in and listen into specific contestants.
Dude, how challenging is this to ride and talk at the same time?
I am definitely going for a day at the spa tomorrow.
I saw that you have everything from like spider cam, city cam ops, to gimbals, to drones. You pulled out all the cards for this. Oh,
We wanted to blend our style, a little bit of reality, a little bit of narrative cinematics, while also still having a bit of YouTube flavor. So in order to do that, we essentially pulled out everything that we could. Even like a new type of thing, I had a cinematic specific operator in addition to our B-roll operator, well beyond 100 people.
dang. How is it managing that many people?
If there's anything I've learned with all of that, it's how to delegate. When it gets to that scale, you can't possibly do everything yourself. The one thing that I really enjoyed about the Amazon show was we had some really talented camera operators. In the beginning, we had a meeting. Essentially, it was like, hey, when you see an opportunity to get cinematic, go for it. Honestly, I was so impressed by what they were able to pull out.
Saw an interview from Jimmy, MrBeast, that was like really impressed with the operators and their intuition of, you know, who to frame up at what time. And
How did they do that in real time? When I was watching these shots in post, I was like, wow, we have some killer people.
Those particular operators, we actually hired a special group intentionally and said, I want those camera operators to specifically be sports operators. Think the guys and girls that film basketball or hockey or baseball. Those operators have just gotten really good at being able to detect content happening like that. Recognize content, recognize connecting content with other players. And that really came through in the end. And again, that all goes back to, you know, knowing what your team is good at, letting them be good at that thing, and putting them in a position where that stuff can really shine.
rocky section coming up.
Yeah, buddy.
My God, holy crap, it broke my stick. Whew.
Oh, man.
Dude, it broke this carbon fiber and this mount too. I guess I'm losing my Insta360 view for this. Let me go ahead and make my life a little easier.
This is quite the journey, man. Oh, my God.
Dude, this is marked as an easy trail off.
No way.
Imagine that there's like a perfect, beautiful trail right on that ridge that we have not known about this whole time. Was there a spot where we were supposed to get on it? Dude, yeah, we have been on the left. Holy trail is up there.
That's funny.
Is that why we're struggling? The trail is up there?
You know, I want to walk up it. How about that? There's just a nice, pristine trail up here with a Starbucks on every corner.
Oh my God, I'm gonna be devastated if there's like a beautiful trail up there. All right, busting out the FX3.
Oh, no.
Oh no, please don't tell me there's a beautiful trail up there.
No, there's nothing here. Just go down, stop where you're ahead.
Oh my gosh. Oh my God, look, it's beautiful. Oh no. This is what we're supposed to be on? Oh my gosh. All right.
Just leave me here.
This is the road we're supposed to be riding. I was like, I swear it said this trail was easy.
I mean, look at this.
Dude, oh my gosh.
Have we really just been riding in the dried river the whole time? I mean, you're doing great filming and scaling a mountain.
I mean, this is what you usually do, right?
Oh yeah, I mean, when we did our Wells in Africa video, we scaled an actual mountain from the bottom to the top. And I
Oh
had
my
to
God.
film the whole way, which is cool. I mean, like, I'm so blessed to get to go and have those experiences, but it is also really difficult. Yeah, it gets wild again up here.
Oh, you all right?
Ah,
Woo!
it finally got me.
How you doing?
Good. Thankfully, the soft rocks that took me out were also soft to fall on.
I was surprised when you told me that you shot in 1080p because I just assumed everything had to be 4K for deliverables for Amazon.
Right, and there's a number of reasons we did it that way. And granted, all of our aerial stuff and then Jimmy's camera, those were always UHD. But everything else outside of that was just 1080. And part of it was budgetary for sure, because the amount of data that we generated it was just astronomical, man. Petabytes on petabytes. And so it was just kind of technically unfeasible if we shot, 1100 cameras in 4K. But the move to HD also kind of proves that increased resolution is helpful in a lot of cases, but it's still not 100% necessary. To get a cinematic image is so much more than resolution.
Did you get some pushback on that? Like trying to shoot in HD with a bunch of Aries?
Oh, of course. I mean, just shooting a reality show on Arri in general, a lot of people thought it was a little crazy, and then to go and do that and only shoot it in HD.
You're more of a contrast and saturation color guy than a resolution.
Yeah, I would say so for sure.
Shooting $100 million project and going full HD.
Isn't that kind of wild? We didn't go into that on purpose. It just kind of, that's where we ended up.
MrBeast style in particular, it's very bright and colorful, and I feel like Arri does do a good job in those like vibrant environments.
I agree, and it really set a good precedent in order to match all the other cameras too. So it was a good baseline to match our Sonys, to match our Canons, and our GoPros.
Oh, nice save, dude.
Holy that was crazy.
And I love how you kept talking. You must be a good multitasker. The only thing I can multitask is ride and shit myself.
I almost did right there. Holy crap.
Dude, you went sideways for a second.
That was awesome.
Now that you have like a hit Amazon Prime show under your belt, like what's interesting to you now?
I definitely want to do other shows like that and work with other creators, both as a DP and then eventually into directing, and really to help be that connecting thread between the content creator world and the traditional world. So as other creators get picked up for shows, it's, and at least in my opinion, incredibly important that the shows are a hybrid. You have that mix of traditional, but you also stay true to the content that creator does. And I think the big part for me was I came in and didn't try to change anything. Like I didn't try to make the channel a totally different style than it was. I wanted to elevate the style that it had.
Hitting record on 1,000 cameras, was there like a button that could trigger 1,000 cameras? Or like, how's that work?
We actually had the contestants do it themselves. I got on a microphone and was like, all right, record your GoPros.
You gotta take all those cameras and synchronize it to these microphones. Is it time coded?
We had a dedicated GoPro team of about 10 people that would have their QR code ready to go, time code all the settings in a synchronized fashion, just go down the row all at one time. And because I think we did the math, if one person spent 30 seconds turning every camera on, it would take them like 8 hours or something like that to get through all of them.
When it comes to 1,000 cameras, like everything becomes really difficult, huh? Like, oh my God, charging those batteries. I feel bad for whoever had to download all those memory cards. I hate downloading micro SD cards.
I feel bad too. I know
Also, even just like unboxing 1,000 cameras, right?
Oh, it took forever, man. They just put some music on, sat in a room, and just knocked it out, man. They did great.
I can't believe it. We made it. We made it.
Hell yeah, dude.
Oh, we made it back alive.
We did it.
I feel like we need to get somewhere warm ASAP.
All right, these face masks actually feel kind of nice.
Does it clean your pores, or is it just?
I have no idea what these are for, but kind of fun to put on. I don't know.
I feel great.
There's a lot of channels that are blowing up, and now there's camera crews and camera teams. For people that are looking into getting into that world, how do they get you to hire them?
Have a good Instagram, have a great attitude.
It's interesting that you went kind of straight to attitude, because a negative attitude can like bring the whole set down.
Pull everyone down.
Yeah, so.
And the way I looked at it was camera skills can be taught. Attitude really can't be taught.
I remember I asked Claudio Miranda, the Top Gun cinematographer, if someone's super talented, but they're kind of a dickhead, would you still hire them? But they're incredible work. And he's like, no.
No chance.
I don't work with non-visual people.
You need confidence, but not to the point where it's arrogance.
Yeah.
And there is a line. If your creator you want has a job website, check for that as well. You can check their LinkedIn. They'll post that stuff on there. It's an excellent way to apply.
All right, so vibes, Instagram feed, anything else you're looking for?
Honestly, that's pretty much it. Those are the top two things. I mean, of course, ideally you have all of that and you're a skilled camera person.
Ideally be able to do your job. Shameless plug. The Tribex tripod. Did you happen to see the giant tripod at the Small Rig booth?
I did. It was massive. Please tell me you're going to take that and put it like in your front yard.
I actually kind of want to officially launch the tripod, just the legs itself. If you want to put your own head on there, anything that's a 3/8 inch you could put on there.
Oh, nice. I love it. Of course, anything I do, I have to push it to the limit. So I see the picture I put my Alexa on it.
I know.
And you were like, oh no.
That's one of the first things you were like, you think you could hold the Alexa? It's like, you shouldn't.
If you can get your hands on one, at least try it. I mean, you'll absolutely love it right out of the gate.
There's a little learning curve though, a little bit. Like
It wasn't bad. Like, honestly, it felt like really natural, and kind of once your brain flips that switch, you're like, duh, this is way better. The way I look at it, it's a lightweight travel tripod, using it in situations where I don't want to bring a lot of heavy stuff. The other option was I got to check another bag or a special case just for it, and I've ran into that so many times.
Then I saw you brought it up on stage.
Oh, I did. Put a Canon C400 on it. A bunch of people came up and talked to me about it afterwards. I was shilling it. I was like, yeah, you gotta check this out.
Cheers to that.
Absolutely.
Well, here, I'll pull up some of the old stuff.
Oh
All right,
my
let's
gosh.
blast to the past.
Everyone close your eyes. There's no need to look.
I recognize that smile.
Good
And then
heavens.
you still got the same eyes, but everything else is different. Like,
Still in high school, this is our library video club. When I turned in my first video as a project instead of like a poster board or something like that, and the teacher accepted it, I was like, no way, I can do that? And so from then on, every project I ever did was a video. In the beginning, news was my career path that I wanted to get into, and it does have an exciting element when there's breaking news. And you have to get to the scene quick and get the footage quick, and then you go live on air.
do you think any of those skills kind of carried over from the news days to what you do now?
Oh, for sure. I mean, it's all live in the moment. You either capture it or you don't. And so you have to be prepared and kind of predict when and where things are going to happen, and hopefully have your stuff set up, ready to go. And it taught me a lot about preparedness too. Like when I would get to the station, the first thing I would do is check my news van. I'm like a pilot, checking all the things and making sure all the equipment's working. It has plenty of fuel, and that I'm just sitting in the seat ready to go. Just waiting for the call,
So you're not like me where when you showed up, I'm still like going around looking for microphones. I'm like, is this charged?
No, I was locked and loaded, man. I was ready to rock. I'm freezing
Oh wow,
right
look
there.
at that. Red Rock Micro.
It is a Red Rock Micro, 100%, yeah.
That's nostalgia right there. And of course you gotta get the matte box, right?
Oh yeah. There's no filters in there at all. Nothing. It's purely for aesthetic.
Yeah, and
look
like-
cool.
Glorified sunshade. I think we all had to go through that phase where we're just like, nobody's taking us seriously because we're kids.
Oh yeah.
Make the camera bigger. Now people care. Skip a little bit later and oh, look at you. Your cameras have gotten bigger.
Yeah.
And you're starting to look like you.
We're growing up a little bit, for sure. I would do anything from PAing to ACing to camera operator. Anything I literally get my hands on. It was indie stuff, sports stuff, food content. If someone wanted to make a short film with me, fine, we'll go film it on a phone. Well, we couldn't back then, phones weren't enough. But, the first gen DSLRs and stuff. So we would just go shoot whatever we could whenever. And I really didn't care if I got paid or not, really. I just kind of wanted to get out and just make something.
Oh, Steadicam.
I got super interested in Steadicam.
It's really hard not to do that.
I would say I'm
Rock and
okay,
roll.
but nowhere near the pros.
Yeah, Steadicam is one of the skills that I was never able to master. You also mentioned that you used to do some extra work, right? You're in the background of what?
Yeah.
Some TV shows and movies?
There's a couple of them, yeah. I wanted to see what it was like on that side of the camera, hopefully so I could, have a better understanding on my side, and it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's funny, because that was the first thing I did when I got to LA.
Really?
Was just background extra work. Yeah, like
Is there footage of that?
there may be a
somewhere?
few clips, but you can learn so much, like just from being in the background. And
It's funny you say that. I got yelled at on the longest ride, and I'm just looking around at all the cameras and the lights, and I'm taking all these mental notes, and they're like, "Get on, take your test." I kept screwing the shot up.
oh my gosh, look at that!
I was a featured extra on this show on Cinemax called Banshee, which was cool. I had my own trailer.
You had your own trailer?
Yeah,
Oh
my
my
own little
god!
cool
That's-
director's chair on set.
What?
You
You definitely made it higher up on the extra scale than I ever did. Like,
I had it for 2 days, and that was it. Never to be seen again.
do you feel like you dabbling in everything from being a background extra to working in sports, films, commercials, lighting and opping and drone piloting and Steadicam opping though? Does that help you figure out what you're looking for when you're like hiring people?
Oh, for sure. I knew that in the moments during our show, sometimes it'd be all hands on deck kind of thing to pull it over the edge.
Yeah.
So it's important to have people who were just really down to earth and just kind of people willing to grind it out. People like that are kind of willing to just get their hands dirty with whatever are just more pleasant to be around. in general. So
How does the YouTube world compare to like, you know, the classic filmmaker, independent freelance style?
it's both incredibly different, but there's also a lot of similarities. But for me, it was just a cool learning experience. It was a new challenge, a different way of filmmaking. And the first week I was like really quiet, but I was just observing everything. I was observing the content, how the other camera guys that had been there a couple times filmed it, and just kind of adapted into that. And then, you know, gave some ideas, and then eventually they were like, hey, do you want to come on full time? And that's when we really turned it up.
A typical video like this, let's say there's like 5 camera operators, and it's like, okay, we're gonna do this challenge. Is it organized in a way where it's like you shoot Jimmy and then you guys get B-roll and you guys get the crowd or challenges, or is it organized in that way?
When I started there wasn't much of that going on, and because there wasn't really an official camera department or camera team there. It was just, well, all of us were freelancers. So I was like, hey, how about we come up with a plan? And exactly what you're saying, like, okay, we take this quadrant, you take that. That was one of the needs I saw, and was like, okay, we do need structure to a degree. We need a little bit of organization, and I kind of just started doing it.
If it's a brand new film crew, like everyone's shooting the same focal length, it's like, no, okay, like somebody be on a tight lens. Sometimes I'd like to be like, okay, you're stuck on this tight prime lens, and you're stuck on this wide lens, so that everyone's not just shooting the same thing. And
so much in the early days, man. Everybody's kind of filming something, and then something crazy would happen in the corner, and you see every single camera person turn over and to get that, but now we don't have any reactions of these people over here. And so that was certainly a thing, was like, okay, no matter what happens, you stay on this person.
And I do also understand, like on the YouTube side of things, like there's almost a benefit to just not making it look too polished.
Absolutely.
Right?
Way I always framed it was amateur by design.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. There's something kind of pleasant about it, just not being too polished. You don't get beautiful moments like this where just a dog just kind of comes into frame and goes, hello.
But that's the beauty of YouTube, and I think that's why a lot of people are drawn to YouTube, is you get that level of authenticity. It's, you know, of course there's super polished stuff on YouTube, and that's great, and the viewers love that, and they go there for that. But the other stuff, they want that rough around the edges thing. This was the original idea for the city, was going to be built in and around this place.
And your concern with this was that all of the scenes where people get to bond and connect, that was all going to take place inside, and you wanted to have more of an exterior feel to everything.
Yes, I wanted,
right?
Well, the whole show is about grandness and spectacle, and this just, in my opinion, didn't lend itself to that. Yeah, you have a lot of buildings, but we wanted openness and large scales.
And then I see some previs work.
Yeah, if you ever get the opportunity to previs stuff, highly recommend it. I know sometimes it can be expensive, but even if this was square blocks or totally not people or whatever, any little bit of previs, I mean, it goes a long way.
I feel like if you go in without a previs, you're kind of like, you always are trying to capture everything, and you feel like you never have it all. But with a previs, it's like, no, I got this shot and I got this shot. You go through your checklist, like, I'm done.
Yeah.
It's amazing. You can stop stressing out.
Saves you so much time on set.
I see some tests on like full HD and 4K tests, and I'm guessing that's just to prove to the networks that actually 1080p is good enough.
Yeah, we did some testing. This is my assistant, Maya. She'll probably kill me if she ever sees this, but we had two FX9 side by side, and we did a UHD versus HD test, and it was literally, we sent it around as a blind test. Exact same settings, exact lens, all that stuff, to see where our options were going to be in the end. So we did so much testing.
So you said you learned a lot for Beast Games from that Squid Games episode, right?
Yes, that was definitely a game changer for us in a lot of ways. But the takeaways from that to the show was that we can kind of mix certain cinematic elements into what we call IRL filmmaking. So
what'd you say, IRL filmmaking?
Yeah, so
in real
the way we always film the episodes, it's IRL filmmaking. It's kind of a blend between documentary and reality television.
That must have been a pretty crazy project.
I mean, we put together that project in I think a total of like 6 weeks, from
no way
concept to posting it on YouTube. It was so fast.
Yeah, how do you even build sets that fast?
We had some really crazy, amazing people do it.
That's actually crazy.
Well, we were going to do it, and we were like, yeah, we could do this in 2 weeks. And then we all had a conversation with each other, and we're like, no, we can't do this in 2 weeks. That's actually crazy. We can't. So we canceled it. We weren't going to do it. And then that infamous tweet that Jimmy sent out, that if it gets 10,000 likes or something, we'll do a Squid Game video. And of course it hit that. And I'm on another video at the time in another country filming with them. And I see that and I'm like, oh man, now we have to do it.
We're doing this.
Yeah, that's exactly. I looked at the other crew, I was like, we're doing it. All hands on deck. Every single day from that point forward was focused on that video. It was funny, I don't think anybody noticed in the marble set paid homage to the real show in that it was lit with cycs. There wasn't really any direct lighting. So we got a giant cloth cyc and wrapped it around that whole marble set and backlit projected all the clouds and
Everything was lit through the cycs?
for the most part, yeah. I had a little bit for ambiance in the room and lift, but everything else was through the cyc as like a giant diffuser.
Oh, and you had mentioned that the way you lit the first room was unusual.
We used LED wall tiles as our primary light through that whole set.
We've come to a point where the most efficient way to light a giant space like that is to make the top a giant TV.
Yeah,
Like,
essentially.
which is insanity.
And there's a couple of legitimate reasons. Number one, the actual key light in that whole room was supposed to be the LEDs that were in their pillars.
Okay.
And it was this super dramatic uplight. In testing, we found that it was too dramatic.
Everyone's just super underlit
yeah,
and
I thought
looks
it was-
like evil.
Oh yeah, it was awesome, absolutely awesome. But for the show, it was too much. So we knew we needed just a hint of light from above. We didn't need a lot of power in the ceiling.
Yeah.
So if you replace each one of those with all sky panels, probably would have had to run them at 1% each.
And still would have blown out the room.
Most likely,
Yeah.
exactly, right? So, and that would have been an egregious waste of money at that point.
I guess it's also nice because it's like full RGB. Like you can, wait, can you just like load a JPEG onto there and be like,
Well,
yeah,
that's-
make it look like this?
That's how you had to do the color chimp. You had to look at, 5600K.jpg and then you drag it out across the whole set. And then we had some color meters, some spectrum meters that we'd have to go out and actually individually dial sections in. So that part wasn't the most efficient or accurate, but it got the job done.
Can you plug like a Nintendo 64 into it and
You
just
could,
lay
but it-
down and play like Mario Kart?
That's great. It's 86,000 square feet, basically.
That's crazy.
Yeah, no, you 100% could.
It was cut on Premiere.
Yes,
Right?
it was. We did Premiere Pro.
Trying to just put 1,000 layers into your Premiere timeline and sync it up. I would imagine a lot of error messages.
We reached a lot of limitations in Premiere. Thankfully, the folks at Adobe were like, "All right, yeah, let's figure it out," and they found some solutions.
Let's
for it.
how to figure out how to pipeline a 1,000+ camera multicam setup. Yeah.
I can only imagine the conversation, but they're probably like, "I'm sorry, what? You want how many layers?" So we hit a lot of limits, but they were super cool and jumped in to help.
That's awesome. Thanks, Adobe. Where can people find you right now?
Right
Instagram?
now, Instagram. That's pretty much all I post.
All right.
So
Link in description. There you go.
perfect.